perfect job opening his lodge up too. So
we're ready to rock and roll. But yeah, I was going to
Very
ask about
nice.
that, how that went.
Well, why don't you hurry up and turn it all on and
On,
get on here
it just
about
got
it.
on. Oh yeah, I guess that needs to turn on too, huh?
Hi guys.
Hi there.
Hey, Cody, how are you?
Hello there.
Right,
There you go.
worshipful sir.
Sorry, that was the dog.
That's all right.
Anytime he hears "Right Worshipful Sir," he goes into that mode. He starts barking.
is that protection mode, Cody, or defensive mode?
Yes.
Oh my goodness.
He's in attack mode now.
Nice.
Very nice, Justin.
Thank you very much. Glad
That's because
somebody
he saw
appreciates.
Justin jump on the screen.
That's it. That's it.
Oh,
Best
Brad, let's
at
hear about
Galaxy. It, man. Yeah. So, welcome, friends and brothers. Justin had mentioned the double cornerstone that happened this week at this yesterday in Royce City, and Worshipful Sir Brad Hoff is here to kind of tell us about it, because we hear that it was great.
You look like somebody that had someone just take a big weight off your shoulders for some reason. You look a lot less stressed than you did the last time.
Well, the preparation for the day was just trying to make sure I had everything in line. But once the day came, it was just like, it was a lot of fun. Like, I had fun from the first time the first person walked in. I was the first person at the lodge. I actually got there super early, turned on the air conditioners, and prepped the lodge and everything. Anyway, it was just a wonderful day. Wonderful day. I just had fun, and I had a smile on my face the whole day.
Good to hear.
Nice. Well, and that's the beauty of preparation, right? Is you can just sit back and enjoy it instead of panicking that nothing's getting done, and that crazy stuff's gonna pop up on you. That's so kudos to you and your team for getting everything done and ready. And I'm sure you've been working on it for a long time. There's usually a member of Grand Lodge that's part of the Cornerstone team that helps you prep for it and get all your ducks in a row, all your stuff in line to get it done. Tell us about that experience.
So apparently an email got sent out in April to my lodge, and I never got it until the day before. So Friday we got the email, and I was supposed to have had it in April to tell me everything I needed to know. But I've been to several cornerstones, so I kind of knew, like, hey, this is what happens, But when we got there, we had to fill out the sheet that tells you who's sitting in what position during the representation of the Grand Lodge. And there was a lot of people there. We had 40 people show up, and a lot of people just kind of talking and walking around, and we were trying to get people. So I was just like, hey, why don't we just open up and my lodge, and then once we get open, then we can call everybody out, because everybody would be quiet and listening. And it just happened. And then while they were filling out the form, I was handing out gifts, and it was fun. So yeah.
Very nice.
Yeah.
So what did you do to prepare in the first place? I mean, did you order all the stuff way ahead of time? How long did it take for you to get all the stuff for the cornerstone itself?
So yeah, it actually took me about 1.5 years to make it happen. So first thing was trying to get the right person to talk to at the school, to get the school to happen. And the police station was real easy, because we have a member of our lodge who's the city manager. So I was like, hey, I'd like to do a cornerstone at that new police station. And can that happen? He goes, consider it done. It's happening. So I was like,
Nice.
oh, that was easy.
That is good.
But the school was a lot harder. So it took about 6 months emailing back and forth to finally get an okay to do it. Once we got an okay, then I was like, okay, this is great. So we ordered the stone, and it took about 3 months to get the stones. And that's a lot of back and forth emails and trying to get all that to happen. And then you got to get the stones to the construction crew to put it on the building before the building's finished.
Yes,
So,
that's a big part, is getting it ahead of time
Yeah.
Yeah.
so they
yeah,
can
both
work it into
is-
place.
Yeah, both the stones were actually on the building whenever we did the ceremonies. But yeah, so
Well,
once we got everything on there, we had to get a date and then give all the information to Kevin Binder. And he set up everything on the Grand Lodge end. And it took me a while to get a date. We were waiting really on the school. School is what took forever. They're really hard to communicate with, the ISDs. So
they can
Yeah.
be, for sure.
I-
Especially if you work there.
yeah, it's like they don't want to answer emails. Like they must get a lot of emails or something, because I could hardly ever get an email answered.
It's been my experience, unfortunately. It seems like school districts are a lot more hesitant with cornerstones than they probably were historically. You really got to justify why and everything like that with them. But once a lot of them, in my experience, once they find out it could be a time capsule. That's kind of what sells them. But little interesting side note: we have the cornerstone for the original school building that was in my community at our lodge, and the old building was tore down like early 1900s, and we didn't know that anybody had the cornerstone, but it was in somebody's backyard for like 40, 50 years, half buried, right? They are not built like they used to be. So today, like the cornerstones are, I mean, they're still big, I'm sure, but like this thing, it took the entire football team to lift up and put on this pedestal. And it wasn't just a cornerstone with the Grand Lodge bar, but it was also another stone, like who the board was at the time, and yada yada yada. I mean, we're talking about some massive blocks. So they've changed a bit, because modern cornerstones, you know, they're big, but they're not like gigantic like the ones I'm talking about.
Yeah, so the stones that we have are about 1.5 inches, maybe 1.25 inches thick, and we had to make the one for the school a special size for the whoever designed the building. They wanted a special look, so we had to make it an exact size. But yeah, I mean, it was just a lot of emails and calls back and forth, just making sure everything was set up. But yeah, once the day came, it was just a breeze, man.
Yeah, a lot of times it kind of helps to have a school board member that will help with the process and kind of push those things along, because really it's good for the community for them to do that. And so sometimes it's best to go to them. I know, and speaking of dealing with schools, I mean, it is a pain. And I think that's where a lot of lodges mess up sometimes, is going to the counselor thinking that she's going to get, an email out to all the high schoolers to do the scholarships and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So, in reality, like with OSO, I think it was far more expedient for me to reach out to the JROTC commander, and he made everything happen so that we had a scholarship within. We had a kid. I almost cursed, which I'm trying to get better at. I kid you not. We had a kid that within 2 weeks wrote an essay for what he thought about Freemasonry and all that kind of stuff, and the honor it was to be considered for a scholarship from OSO Naval Lodge. I mean, he catered this thing to us. It was almost like me writing a presentation for a lodge. I try to do that. And this kid, he's so sharp. He was able to do that even at 18 years old, graduating and doing all that kind of stuff. But, being able to talk directly to an individual that has kids within their grasp is sometimes the best way to go, instead of trying to go to the counselors and stuff like that. Because you're right, administrators, they just don't care about.
Well, it's not they don't care. They just look at it from like a counselor, even from a senior perspective. If I have however many scholarships on my desk right now, and some of them are like $30,000, $40,000, and you have to do as much work to get that scholarship as you do for $1,000, who am I going to push kids to? I'm going to push them towards the bigger ones, because if I'm writing a really large essay and all this stuff.
But most of it is cut and paste, though, except for the actual essay itself, and then a lot of that's generic.
Yeah.
So they're writing one essay and sending it off to 50 schools and hoping they get one of them, which they're not. Most of them are not going to get that $30,000.
That's a good point. That's a good point.
So it's kind of ignorant to pass up the small ones, because that could be a laptop for their classes. It could be the books for their semesters, for the 2 semesters. It could be their lunch ticket for the year. That can make a difference to families that are actually paying for this stuff.
That's a good point.
That are having to pay for this stuff.
It does that up.
I know. Ask me how I know.
Hey, I didn't have any big scholarships. I went piecemeal with all mine. So I know what you mean.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I had my first wife's and my own that I paid for, and it's not easy.
Talking about old schools,
as well as the kids.
I had the chance to go through the old school that was in Hillsboro, and this is one of the old like when you enter, you're on the second floor kind of schools. You know what I'm talking about? How they used to make them, where you go up the stairs and there's a second floor, and then there's like a basement with like a cafeteria and all that. And so I didn't see that. I don't remember if it had a cornerstone. I'm sure it did, given how old it was. But as soon as you walked in the front entrance, it still had this beautiful mural. And you had Maribou Lamar and all the Texas founders of education and the state itself, Republic of Texas. Like, you walked in, it was like this awesome mural. Saying, man, they don't make buildings like that anymore. That's pretty sweet. And luckily,
well, they just don't do art like that.
No.
They don't care enough about the history of.
Yeah, most of them don't know who it is, who Maribou Lamar is and all that. But luckily, the building's finally being bought by. There's a dinosaur museum in Hillsboro, and he's outgrown it, and he's buying that building, and he said he's going to preserve all those murals and everything.
Oh,
so
very cool.
Yeah, he's a cool guy. Yeah, Cody, it took me 12 years to get a 4-year. That's about how it was for me, honestly. I started my degree, changed my major 3 or 4 times, went in the Air Force, came back, changed my major 2 or 3 more times. I was like, you know what? It almost didn't matter. And so I got my major, and I mean, I work in my major now, but I also realized, like, a lot of jobs, they don't care what you major in, they just want you to have a degree. So I just gotta find something to settle on it and do it. So that's what I did. But it took me probably 10 years to finally get around to growing up enough to actually
settling
commit
on
to it.
something.
Yeah.
To get you to settle on something. That's funny. I actually thought about going back to school for theology, but I hadn't convinced myself yet to do it. The other day, I was thinking about religions and stuff like that, and I thought, you know what? I want to found a true non-denominational church, to where on Sunday or Saturday or Tuesday, whenever I decide to have my service, that I will speak on I will speak on Hermes, Plato, Jesus, Buddha, you name it, pick your poison, but have a story and reference every one of them.
Whoa!
In that story.
You're gonna do that here in Texas? When we say non-denominational, we mean just it's like
you
not
mean
strictly
Christian.
Baptist. Yeah.
You mean open. Yeah, you mean open Christian. I know that's what I was thinking. I was thinking I failed miserably here in Texas, but it's I was thinking about that the other day that it's we call them non-denominational, yet it's non-denominational within
Yeah, the Bible Belt of denominations are all the different flavors of Christianity. That's the only denominations we acknowledge. Yeah.
Right. Anyways, I won't go down that road and cause all of our listeners to.
I've considered going back for my PhD, but I'm not going to anytime soon. But I would like to eventually.
I've also thought about just studying for the bar. In Texas, you can actually
what's up, Kadeem?
You can still just take the bar if you want to.
Mm.
You don't have to go to any particular school or anything like that. You can just take it and be a lawyer.
I've examined several bars, so I could probably pass that test.
I know, right?
Same thing, right? Is that how it works?
We crawl through the bar every year in Waco, right?
There you go. There you go.
But anyways, while that legislation's still open to interpretation, I'm thinking about trying it just once at least. At least I can say I failed the bar exam. No, I'm not a lawyer. I failed the bar. I couldn't do it, so I decided to do this instead.
Well, whenever you'd be like, "Hey, I can't go to the lodge. I'm studying for the bar. I'm gonna be taking the bar
studying
test."
for the bar. Yes, yes. Maybe I can be my own attorney when my wife divorces me for being at the lodge too much.
Preparation is everything, right?
Right.
That's
Preparation is key. Preparation is key. I might have a few worthy witnesses.
The thing about preparation is I was taught you should always have 8 plans. That way, if preparation A through G fail, you still always have preparation H.
No, that is not allowed in this show. I knew it was coming. As soon as he said, I knew it was coming. I just didn't know what the delivery was going to be. Oh my gosh.
That was way better than what was on my mind. I was about to say something along that line, but I couldn't.
Oh man, that's funny.
So another thing I did to prepare was, Brother Trenton Tubin.
Mm-hmm.
He made a pretty cool flyer for the event that I was able to share around that had the Grand Master and our schedule of events with addresses and everything. That was very helpful. So
nice.
Yeah.
I tell you what, go ahead. I'm sorry.
I was going to say just real quick, what's your next big event you have coming up, Brad?
Well, it would be on September 14th. I'm gonna have some cool dudes coming in. They're local heroes on this show.
Oh, this isn't our thing then. Talk about something else.
I know.
Yeah, it's the esoteric, the internal and the external speaker event. So that'll be a lot of fun.
Nice. Yes.
Yeah, that'll be the next big one that we're gonna have.
It's going to be awesome.
Yeah.
Yes.
So
and
who
if
else
you
going to be
hadn't got a
speaking?
chance to, you hadn't. No, go ahead.
I was going to say who else is going to be
Y'all
speaking besides me and
Do
Dennis?
y'all have any kind of like requests for a menu? I was thinking enchiladas, but
I
Yes,
get
we're
that a
gonna be
lot
doing-
down here in South Texas. So
I guess you do.
whatever you want.
I will never not eat Mexican food. Just saying.
All right.
A sushi could
Sushi.
be. Oh my goodness.
All right, so we have
Only if it's week old.
That was me.
Only if. Oh, that was you. Oh, okay. Only if it's the stale 3-day-old sushi. That's all we can afford.
I like green salmon. Slimy, so it just slips down when you
Right.
swallow.
Yes. Yes. Oh my goodness.
Actually,
So if
I had like food poisoning yesterday, so I probably shouldn't joke like that. It made me nauseous again.
I hope it does, so you'll go away. So for all of you who have been wanting to meet Robert Park, since he has made himself available for the Grand South this year, that would be a good opportunity for you to do so up in the Dallas area.
Yeah.
Not only that, he's going to be at the 14th, 6th, and 64th MWSA, so that, you know, during that forum, which, hey, guys, guess what's been approved? They're going to go live.
Good. Where at?
Yes.
Which one?
Cool.
And I may go and help record as well. The details haven't been decided.
Well, keep in mind, I was supposed to go live last year too, wasn't it?
No,
be
this
recorded.
has already gotten approval
Oh, good. Good.
from Grand Lodge.
That's great.
So yeah, so you know, Zach has been working hard on that, Zach Haston, and trying to get it all together. And but we'll just leave it at that. Zach's awesome. He works his tail off for us and for Texas, and kudos, Zach. If you're watching or listening, kudos, man.
We appreciate you.
We love you. Can't wait to see
That's
it.
going to be October 23rd.
Yes.
Okay.
October
23rd.
Yeah.
Yes.
Brad, just real quick, just to be sure we're covering everything before we move on. For the event that you mentioned, the esoteric event, the speakers are going to be who? Just all of them real quick.
Cody Stewart, Justin Jones, Dennis Yates during a little meal talk, and then right after the meal, then we'll have.
I'm in a meal talk.
That's what you said you were going to speak while we're eating.
I thought that was going to be David.
Yeah, okay,
David
we
Rogers.
can do that. Yeah, we'll do that, and he'll go into the spiritual aspect.
Yeah, start going into the
esoteric.
spiritual. Yes.
And then you and Robert Park are going to
Right.
close it out and tie it all back to my theme of the cardinal virtues.
Love it.
Yes.
Love
yes.
it. Cody
And
Stewart
that's why
says,
That's why I wanted to make sure it was in that same order, because that's what I was writing to.
Cody Stewart in chat, he says, from Grand Lodge. Who's Grand Lodge, Dennis? That's a good question.
From the Grand Master of the most worshipful Grand Lodge of Texas. It's gone through the oh wait. I wasn't supposed to talk about this yet.
Wow, Dennis. He's trying so hard to watch his profanity that he let other things slip.
I know. Dang it. But it has gone through all the proper channels.
That's good.
So everything should be fine.
That's awesome.
It's been found to be acceptable by all the committees that would be involved in something like that.
That's pretty fast.
Yeah. And the recommendation was given to approve.
I guess these kids won't real quick. I want to turn off my camera. Y'all keep talking.
So anyways, yeah. I feel like an
So as
idiot.
far as that event goes, we're gonna Cody Stewart, right words from Cody Stewart and Justin Jones are gonna kind of open up and talk about the internal esoterics, opening lodge, why we do it, what the importance of it is, or how we do it, and then why we do it, and then
Well, it's kind of the
Rogers.
external. It's kind of the external also. So it's really kind of the external going in, because the ritual it's the face of the internal. It's like the window of the internal. So how do I explain this? So, okay, in one of my talks, the way I explain it, I'll give it this way, is that it's everybody knows that the ritual is the light, right? Well, the light can be blinding to where it's like you're looking in the headlights, or somebody shining a flashlight right in your eyes, to where you receive this light and you see the light, but it's so blinding you can't really see past it. So the ritual is that light, but it's also a veil at the same time. And so you actually have to peek through to get to the internal. And then once we travel through the internal and David takes us into the internal, then we'll travel back to the external as well. It's gonna this thing should take a full circle effect in the way that it's all presented if it works out the way it's supposed to.
Sounds cool.
Kadeem, what are you doing? I saw a blue something just rubbing all over the screen there. I thought I saw his picture, but then I started seeing him. Okay. Anyways, I cannot see what's being written in the talking points online. Do you see any? Well, actually, Cody Stewart's online now. He's not on here. What do you brothers have this week? Jason, what do you got this week?
So, interesting enough, I just got off a Zoom meeting about an hour ago with all four of the with the worshipful masters of all the lodges that meet at Al-Safar Shrine, with the exception of Merit Lodge. We don't really count them, but all four of the lodges that meet there to talk about some joint projects for this year. So probably I've never heard of us actually all getting together and to discuss and try and work out some things, but it'll be a good year. It's just increasing the communication between the lodges to where we're working together. We're not rivals, or one lodge working against another lodge, or feeling like they're out there on their own. Thanks, Justin. It was interesting, and they all showed up. All three of the other worshipful masters. And yeah, there's some interesting things that are going to be coming down the pike for this year. So
nice.
It'll be good. I think one of the big things that I think is going to have the most immediate effect is we're basically they're going to take a look at the guys in their lodges and get the contact information of guys that can help confer degrees or fill in hard to fill parts and stuff like that, because some of the smaller lodges they just have trouble, and so they just have to kind of try and look around and figure out who they can get. So instead they'll have a list to go by to say I need somebody that can confer the fellow craft. Okay, well, these guys can do it. I need somebody to do a lecture. Well, these guys can do the lecture, and trying to work together and make it a little bit easier for us.
That's what we're trying to do down in Corpus as well. Speaking of pike, one of the things that I saw this week that was really cool, that I really love, and I wish more people would put this into practice. In fact, I'm going to work on doing it for the master next year, or even this year once we get all of our stuff planned out. But they had a QR code that you could scan on the program of the lodge during the installation ceremony. You could scan that QR code, and it has a complete calendar of events that they're going to do. And it wasn't Pike, actually. It was for Grand Chapter. Not Grand Chapter, but for Chapter. Say Grand. They think they're the grandest. No, just kidding. But for the chapter of San Antonio chapter, they and I believe they went ahead and added council as well. So the chapter and council put all their events that they have planned and put it on a QR code or made a QR code to take you to the link. And so you can scan it and find out everything that's happening for chapter and council, which is very cool. I think that more lodges ought to make that available and put it on their websites so that the members can do that. Or put it on a members only Facebook page or members only whatever you have that you use for communications that's private, semi-private for your lodge. That would be a good idea if you're worried about outsiders coming in.
Something that along those lines that I have seen, and we're going to be doing that at one of my lodges pretty soon, is we're going to get a flat screen and put it up in the main room. The worship master wants to bring the community into the dining room more this year. And I was like, well, why don't we do like this other lodge does, have this nice flat screen, and you could have a slideshow. Like if you're really just trying to introduce people to Freemasonry and all the stuff we do, have a slideshow with all the things we do. Let people see like how fraternal we are. Let them see the things we do in the community and stuff like that. And
except for the lodge
room. Do what?
Things besides what happens in the lodge room. No pictures in the lodge room. Right?
Yeah, it'd be like when we have like outside events or like just in the dining room where we have a big crowd of people. It's things that just showing people a taste of what we're doing without trying to bring them into,
right.
Yeah. But also,
you want to put a title with it so that they know that that's what that picture represents or whatever.
Yeah, that's smart. That's a good idea. And then, like for stadium meetings and stuff, we could, if we got degrees and stuff coming up, we could have that come through the slideshow. Like, hey, these are important dates this month. You need to be sure you're catching it. But I really like the QR code idea too. There's no reason you can really leverage QR codes pretty well. We're going to be setting up like Venmo and stuff since I'm going to be treasurer, and because I don't carry cash very often, and I know there's other people that don't either. So we just have a QR code where here I can Venmo the lodge or I can PayPal the lodge, whatever I prefer. Make those options. That's just smart to do.
Well, that's what I want to do as well. Because now we can, make we can do it to where the membership pays any fees. If they don't want to pay fees, then they can just bring cash. But if they don't mind the fees, then have a tap and go. And you can do the Venmo and all that kind of stuff. Man, it's so cool to be in the big city again. All the sirens.
You're in Dallas, right?
But you can... Right.
That's the sound of Dallas.
I know, that's downtown Dallas. Yes. So you can do Venmo and all that kind of good stuff, but I want to have a tap and go to where there's a set amount that is for dinner, like $10 or whatever, and you just automatically just tap it, and just like with the.
What do you tap? What is the tap and go?
You just have a little deal that you can tap. You just put your credit card on there and it'll automatically take it just like anywhere else.
Smart.
Just like when you get your gas or whatever.
So
and then you have the preset amount. Don't make
20.
it what. Yeah, absolutely. So if you want to give 20, then you tap it twice. Mm-hmm. But you tap it to give what you want.
I like that. Speaking of Brother Haston, he's in chat now. And he says a members only Google Calendar that they can sync with their own calendar phones. That's a smart idea.
There you go. That's the one.
Yeah.
That's the one.
He's always so wise. Like he just.
I know.
Like we could speculate. He's like, well, we could do this. Yeah, you're right. We could just do that.
You can make it real easy and just do it this way.
Just ask Zach first. Yeah. Just sharing things that work. Yeah, we know, Zach. You're very good at sharing things that work. We appreciate you.
That's why I'm grateful that you're always on the show, because you are definitely a resource and we appreciate you.
Oh, definitely.
As with many of our members, though, so don't be afraid to speak. Zach's obviously not. He comes up with all the great ideas, and if you had that great idea and you didn't give it, then that's your own fault for not speaking up. Or it may be Justin's fault for not reading it sooner.
The thing is,
you can blame Justin.
Like this is important. I think you have a lot of worship masters that think they have to be the source of all the answers for the success of their lodge, right? It is not. It's not the worship master. You're standing on the shoulder of the people that came before you, right? And it's not to say, well, we should let past masters run the lodge. I'm not saying that at all. But you should know who the people are in your lodge that will offer advice when you ask for it or when they see that you need it, right? And it applies to us here too. Like we're experienced because we talked to a lot of people that have experience, but we don't necessarily have all the answers. Like right here, it's like Zachary. I mean, boom, just do this. That's a good idea. You could do that. And so it's about listening to people around you, right? Like we say 1,000 times, if you're the smartest person in the room, you're in the wrong room. So it's definitely good to do that. He says, our attendance, all these little things, is so much better when it's on everyone's phone calendars. It makes a huge difference if I forget to add something on there. So I like that.
Yeah, absolutely. I tell everyone that if it's not on my calendar, I am not going to be there. Plain and simple.
Yeah.
I put everything in my calendar right there during lodge. That's the only thing I will have my phone open for. Otherwise, it's set to the side, silent, whatever. Mm-hmm. But I will do my calendar and make sure that all the events are in my calendar, because if it's not in my calendar, I will not show up.
Exactly.
When I look at my calendar, I look at what's there, and then I prioritize from that list. If it's not there, then it's not a priority.
Yeah. Cody says he lives by his calendar. I do too. And not only do I have my calendar on my phone, but we have a giant, like a dry erase calendar in the kitchen. And at the first of the month, I take my phone and I put everything important that I already have on my phone calendar on the dry erase. That way my wife knows everything I have going on too. I could just share my calendar with her, I guess, but
I don't know if you can even see it, Jason. It's on there. And I have everything. The event description, ticket required event, Lodge 100th anniversary. Oh, is that the right one? Yeah, that's the right one. It's August 13th. That's what it says. For August 13th.
Says it's a ticketed event?
Yeah, I didn't know that you were charging for my...
I mean, all right.
Yeah. You have it. Yeah, you have it, or it came up as the one that has Brad, Tony, and Dennis Steven. Yep. Good thing we looked. Not going to fix it.
The lodge calendar is pushed to all members without them having to enter anything. How do you push a lodge calendar? How would you do that? I guess you have to have their emails.
If they're already connected to the calendar, it'll automatically go in as soon as it's inputted into the main calendar.
Interesting.
Yeah. Because I have that with my MWSA for 37. I automatically get all the notices for 37A and B of any lodge thing that happens down in the Corpus area, in the Coastal Bend area. That way I know.
Cool. Like that.
And then also for people that still are heavily with the prior generation, that don't use that type of technology very well, in Goliad we still use the phone tree method as well, and we do that for our reminders, like the day before events, or if it's a stated meeting, it'll usually be the day before as well as the day of, or any other special event will be a couple of days before. But like our phone tree is used anytime we have any kind of event. It goes out to all the members of Goliad 94, and it's a phone call, and you don't have to answer it. You can just let it go to voicemail, and it'll leave you a voicemail of whatever it is, whatever the event is. And if you don't know what it is, it's always the same number, so you know who it's coming from. And it's really not that expensive when you think about the benefits. We get a lot more people showing up because of that. I can tell you.
I feel like one of our biggest weaknesses as a fraternity is communication. There's lodges that excel at it. I'm not saying every lodge is bad at it, but some of the most struggling lodges I've seen are also terrible at communicating and letting their members know what's happening, when things are happening, stuff like that. So it's good to have all these different tools you could use. What's up, Daniel?
Well, Brad, I was planning on going into Arlington first part of the week, and then the second part of the week I was looking at going to Hillcrest Lodge. I may come out to Royce City though, because I'm actually on that side of town. So I'm on the east side of Dallas, not on the Arlington side. Well, really, man, I am right between you and Hillcrest. Golly, decisions.
Is Hillcrest on the east side of Dallas too?
Thursday. No, it's right downtown. It's
okay. All right.
It's right next to Love Field.
Got you.
So I'm that close. I'm like 20 blocks away.
Royce City. That's gonna be fun when we go there that day. So you thinking about going to Hillcrest?
Yeah. I hadn't made up my mind yet though. Because Brad and Kyle both jumped on today and showed, and I'm glad y'all did that, because that was why I added that second part of what's going on in Dallas this week, so that everybody could get on there and say, hey, what's going on in their area, and maybe people would look at it and say, oh, well, this is going on. Oh, Brad got upset and left. I see how you are, Brad. He must have lost his connection somehow. But I had a lot of people with a lot of things happening this week, which was really awesome. So, which is kind of surprising on the last week of the month, except for, Thursday, of course. That's the first. So all you brothers listening tonight, the first Thursday of the month. So August 1st is Thursday.
Mm-hmm.
So all you brothers that have lodge, you do have lodge on Thursday. I was thinking that I was going to miss my meeting also, and it's not until next week.
Yeah, Thursday's my first day back at work for the summer, and it feels really weird starting back on a Thursday instead of why not just wait till Monday? But whatever, it is what it is.
Well, why not wait till September 3rd like when I was a kid?
Yeah,
man. It is whatever.
Yeah.
It is whatever.
I think another month home would drive me crazy, so it's fine. I don't really mind. I like the first June. I really enjoy, and then by the time July is almost over, I'm just ready. I like to have something to work on. I don't know if you know that. If anyone knows that, I have to have projects. I have to have things to keep me busy. Otherwise,
we do have this thing called Masonic improvement that could use some improvement.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know how much anyone who knows you. I'll just stop there. That's not fair. That's not fair.
All that Dallas is wearing off on you already.
I know it. I'm becoming one of those guys.
One of them.
Hey, I grew up in this neck of the woods. I miss it. I was telling y'all earlier. Do what?
So I knew that before you told me. I could tell.
But I wanted to tell the world.
You got that Dallas vibe.
It's because we rock.
Okay.
We
Welcome back, Brad.
There you are.
Lost power on the computer.
It
just went. I was like, "Whoa, what happened?"
Uh-oh.
It's happened to me before. The kids will come to the office. They're like, "What's that button do?" And it's just...
So another thing that I was talking about right before we got on was the culture here in downtown. In Deep Ellum, it's a completely different culture than it was back when I was a kid, and it's changed 4 times since I was a kid. And I remember when I was real little, it was all blues, And in fact, Stevie Ray Vaughan played here, and in a lot of the other greats. Buddy Guy played down here. Of course, B.B. King did, and all the greats in blues they played down here. Even ZZ Top when they were getting their starts, and Eric Clapton when he started going into the blues scene. But anyways, they all played down here, and then a little later on it went a little bit more contemporary and even techno, and then a little later on it kind of phased out of the techno and went kind of jazzish, new age kind of jazz, and then went in. And now it's more of rap and stuff like that, hip hop and rap. And it's amazing how the cultures have changed in Dallas, and each time it has really thrived, right? It thrives until it doesn't, and then it changes. And we were talking about this earlier, and so that's 4 generations of styles of music that have happened in just part of my lifetime. I'm not even at the end of my life yet. And all that's happened, the culture change has happened so much in what I know. And I'm thinking, why are we, and I was driving through thinking about the lodges, thinking, why are we not more open to the realization that our membership is going to be a different culture as we go along. It's not always going to be the same people, the same type of people that are joining all the time. And I say type because, you've got your bookworms, you've got your ritualists, and we try to be all encompassing, right? You got your fraternity guys, your, whatever. But we try to be all encompassing, but the culture of the lodge usually shifts with one or two of the different cultures. And I don't know why we think it's so inconceivable that the lodge can change its culture when we look around us. If we just look at a neighborhood over 50 years, it's changed, 4 or 5 times. Every generation, it seems to change.
So you're talking about the scene, right? Like this was the scene. This is what the music was, and things like that.
Yeah.
But here's the thing:
culture.
who
the culture.
that creates the culture? But who's usually there creating this?
Whoever's there at the time.
Which is usually who?
The younger generation.
The younger generation. They're on the scene, bringing
right.
their experiences to it, their taste.
Right.
But then
right.
you have some lodges where you don't see that. You don't see the
right.
younger generation. Now you are, right? And that's why we have kind of some disagreement. But now you are, after probably. So usually what happens is every generation will step up, and they're not so dramatically different, but they'll step up and they'll take the reins, right? We, for whatever reason, and not just Freemason, but a lot of organizations, a few generations seem to have skipped. And so now we have this. That's why you see this big gap, in my opinion. It is changing, but that's why it took so long to change.
Do I get to finish my thoughts?
I guess so.
So here, now I'll go full circle with it. Now Justin's put in his 2 cents. So the thought, though, behind all this is that the cultures have changed over this time 4 times in half of my lifetime, 4 times. And yet what remains? What's the same? It's all music. It's still music. It's just a different style of music.
Mm-hmm.
So when we think about our lodges, it's still Freemasonry. It's just a little bit different from what we recognize from the past. And so we can't be completely closed off to it. If we're staying with the tenets and the landmarks of Freemasonry, then maybe we need to think about what the culture is around us if we plan on having the people around us join our lodges.
Yeah.
And if it's just strictly liquor stores all around your lodge, maybe you need to move your lodge.
Or have an awesome festive board.
Or have a big festive board. Yes. Yes. Get all your stuff from the discount liquor next door.
Probably make them change their mind on the last resolution. But yeah, I agree. If you're the sum of the people you surround yourself with, right? And your lodge is the sum of the neighborhood it surrounds itself with. And if you are sticking to your lodge building because it's 100 years old, but the sound of the neighborhood is sirens like Dennis is experiencing, then right into like is a drugstore, liquor store, or something like not drugstore but like crack house or something. It might be time to move your.
That's not where I'm staying, people. now that Justin has done this,
but it might be time to change where you're. I've been to some lodges where I'm like, do I even want to get out of this place? Honestly, like run to the door kind of thing. And if your lodge is in a situation like that,
right? How do I stop my virtual background? There we go. Let me get into this. Just so that you folks know that I don't stay in crappy hotels. I mean, this is pretty decent.
That's no Motel 6. That's a Super 8.
It's not. Yeah. Yeah, it's a Super something.
It leveled up.
I don't know about a Super 8 either. I'd save about $100 a night if it was a Super 8.
Yeah. But all the doctor bills for the mattress would add up, though.
Right. Oh man. Hey man, I have stayed at many places in my lifetime. And I have been in, I've had that journey having kids and growing up with kids, and I've stayed in some hotels that I probably should not have stayed in. I should have just not gone on vacation, but we did, and we had fun. And I'm just fortunate to be able to do a little bit different now.
Yeah. Well, the kids remember it different.
Oh, yeah.
You may be like,
Kids
oh, that was a sketchy hotel. The kids don't care, really. They just want to have fun.
They have no idea. It's an adventure.
We went to the Waco Zoo today, and it's a small zoo, but it's probably like my favorite. I've been to a lot of zoos with my kids, and Waco Zoo is my favorite. And they were running around just losing their minds. But for me and Christina, that's stressful, right? Because they're just running around not listening. But for the kids, I mean, they slept on the way. They never napped. They slept on the way home. They're asleep now. They had a blast. We're nice. Remembering it different. Our experience was very different than the kids' experience. Just saying.
Yep. Yeah, we're pretty fortunate with Sarah nowadays. It's a pretty easy experience everywhere we go.
The little Olympian.
The little what?
The little Olympian.
Yes, she was watching gymnastics earlier, and she was watching it this weekend, getting ready. Jason saw the video of Sarah's first practice right out of the gate coming back on the black team. She went straight from the nationals to practicing on Monday with the black team. No. They took Monday
team?
off.
Is that like
that's the one that goes to World Championships?
Cool.
That's the ones that can go to the Olympics.
Oh,
but
is that what that was?
Yeah, that was her first practice. That was her first practice out. She's doing these backflips. She starts off doing the back handspring things, and then she does that one time. And then the next two or three are without hands. She's just boom, boom, boom. And they look like back handsprings, but they're called whips. And so because she's just whipping her body through.
That's nothing. Well, she can do it with no hands and no feet, then I'll be impressed.
You're right.
That's what takes skill.
Man. Yeah, right. But another thing I showed them today, she was on the news. They showed they had a the weekend sports wrap up. They had her. They were doing the team, and they showed her at the beginning jumping on the trampoline, and then at the very end they showed her with her arms up, on the podium. That was her. They showed her at the beginning and the end, and named her by name a couple of times, along with some of the other kids as well. That was kind of cool. So, anyways,
Sorry, I was
what
typing.
are people saying? What are people saying?
Oh, so Thomas Bob TV says, I don't think they speak English as a first language, but it says, but am still insisting on how to enter into this cult. How can I? It's like, yeah, we're not a cult, so I can't tell you, man. Sorry. If you don't understand what we are on a most fundamental level, I can't help you with anything beyond that. So, but it may be like a language barrier or something. But
right. Well, Freemasonry is not an occult. It is not. It's a fraternity. Now, there have been occults that have sprung out of Freemasonry that from some of the members from years past, but that's that's not Freemasonry's aim, is to make occults. Occults.
oh no, just talk about just cults in general, like
Occults.
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 Brad, you got some connection issues tonight, huh?
My computer keeps dying, so I just switched to my phone.
Oh, I got you. Is it a laptop?
Yeah.
Okay.
We'll plug it in.
Yeah.
It was plugged in, so I don't know what's going on.
Did you plug it into an outlet?
It's about.
Did you plug the other end into your laptop?
It's about 6-year-old computer, so it probably needs a new battery.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's crazy that stuff, fails that quickly. I get it though. Mine, I've dropped it once or twice, and so I have to hold it together when I close it, and then press on it to finish closing it. So, because it's still the best one in our house. And I bought my wife and daughter new ones. That's the thing, is I bought them new ones, and mine is still faster even with all my crap on it. And so it's like, man, I can't get rid of this. How am I going to replace it? I can't afford to replace it with what I paid for this one. That's the slumlord in me. Just, how can I afford to replace it with, and be the same as this one?
Just put some duct tape on it. Then you don't have to hold it together.
That's what a slumlord does.
Just duct tape it.
Yeah.
The handyman's secret weapon.
Yes, that and super glue. I thought about actually just sending it in and giving it to the Geek Squad or whatever to put in a new body or something. But anyways, that's not Freemasonry. What do we got Freemasonry wise, or Masonry wise, whichever you want to talk about?
Chad's pretty quiet. Chad's pretty quiet. Cody said the Dallas was pretty rough when he was there in the 80s. So I don't know if he's talking about 1980 or 8. Never mind. I'll just stop there.
You're absolutely right. I used to skate the streets back then, and it was
80s?
pretty rough. Yeah, in the late 80s. That's when I was skating in 85 through 93.
You were skating before it was cool.
Well, I started skating when I was like 7 years old. I had a banana board. And anybody who has skated knows what a banana board is.
Is that the really long one?
No. That's a new thing. That's the ones that go down the hills. And they had them back then, but it's the one. It was the first ones that were made out of the what is that? It's like a plexi something. I don't even know. It's some kind of a polyurethane. That's it, polyurethane. And it was yellow. And it had some big old street wheels, and they were this close together, just barely bigger than my skates, or barely longer than my skates. And man, you could zip around with that sucker, and I busted my teeth, busted my elbows, I busted it all on that little banana board.
As a side note, Brother Hasten, commented he just checked the numbers and there have been 310 stewards installed in the last 10 days.
Yes. Yes, that's awesome. That is awesome. I have to say, I was one of them to put them in. We had one that was installed, and we had to install the other one. I had to finish that up. Go ahead.
I got a question. There's 3 new Worshipful Masters in here on the chat, and I don't know if Jason or Jeff, are you a Worshipful Master? No, that's right. You're still not a Master Base. I thought you were somebody else. I thought you were Josh Kogar for whatever. Anyway, so
I can
Jason,
speak for Josh.
Right. So, first stated meeting of the year. Have you had it yet? Have you had yours yet, Jason?
Yeah, and we had Carlos Cantu. For those of you that might know, so a couple of you probably know him. Did the first educational presentation and stuff like that, and yeah, I mean, I think it actually went over really well. A lot of guys commented that they enjoyed the presentation, and we got through the business as quickly as possible, and planning on doing the same. I've actually got a group me thing with my officers, because I told them, I said, I'm not doing 40 different versions of communication. I'm not texting and then emailing and then Facebooking and then Tinder chatting and whatever else.
Wow. I am not joining your life. That's for sure.
I've got one mode of communication, and they all had to sign it, and they all signed up for it.
Lots Tinder.
But yeah, I mean, we've been in constant contact since that meeting, and so they're working on stuff so that when we come to the next meeting, it's done very efficiently. All right, I threw a little joke in there. Why are you focusing on that?
You didn't throw a little joke in there. That was a mix-up, and we know it. We know
a Freudian
better.
slip.
Yeah, we know it's on your mind. So
at least he didn't say grinder.
Oh my goodness.
See, I wasn't talking about Dennis, so I left Grinder off.
I don't know about my new Worshipful Master. He set up a large Tinder for us. We're supposed to get on it.
So if we're gonna go, we swipe right. If we're not, we swipe left. That's what I was thinking the whole time. It's so funny.
There's
anyway, it went really well, and I appreciate, Brad, you asking about that as opposed to these other knuckleheads.
Well,
yeah. I swap right on your
everybody
question.
else was listening. I was just laughing. That's all.
Yeah. Well, don't tell you a joke if you don't want us to laugh, Jason. Jeez.
Josh is going to have his on Thursday. In fact, I was supposed to speak, but I had to come up here to Dallas. So I am going to give my presentation to our junior past master, and he's going to give the presentation for me. Mm-hmm. So I also have to turn in my White Rabbit deal. That it's a segment that I do on our newsletter. And so I need to turn that in and turn over that presentation to our junior past master, and he's going to give it for me. And then next month is Chris Williams. Will be in Goliad.
In chat we have Michael Capps, and he says he's aspiring Mason in Spokane, Washington.
Oh, nice!
He's so glad we're on Earth at the same time, and he's excited for off time to end. I'm not sure what off time is, but cool, man. That's awesome. Spokane's a nice town. I like Washington. I really like Washington. It's a beautiful part of the country. Very nice weather.
I'm planning on coming up there in October to speak. You might get with Michael Cunningham and find out about it. He's up that way as well. And anyways, hope to see you there. I'll be up there speaking in October, late October.
In Spokane?
Yeah.
Cool.
Well, it's near Spokane, I believe.
Spokane's on the east side, isn't it? On the east side of the state?
I don't know, man.
You don't know? I think it is.
Washington is Washington's about the size of South Texas. I mean, it's not as big as what you would think.
No, it's not. But so Washington, because I was stationed in Idaho, right, for Air Force. The east side's just like Idaho, but the west side's like a beautiful forest. So that's why I was like, oh, it is on the east side. Okay, yeah. He says they don't meet for July or August. So, but
Right. So, do none of y'all meet on July or August? Because that's what Cunningham told me also.
that they don't meet in July or August.
Yeah.
I wonder why.
Maybe it's because up there they don't really have air conditioning in all the buildings still, because it's not
Maybe.
really hot up there, and so they take summer months off.
Yeah, but it's
That's
not. Well,
interesting.
I don't know.
I
Whatever.
should have asked.
Whenever I've been to Washington, it is not. I mean, granted, like to them, 80 degrees is hot, but it's not. Like you can do without AC. It's nice. I don't know.
For us, we pray for 80 degrees sometimes.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
but you would think June and
um,
July it feels because of the heat.
Right. I did have a question regarding the first stated meeting for a new worshipful master. Mine is this Thursday. I haven't met yet. It'll be my first time sitting in front of my lodge. I did have to fill in for the worshipful master one time last year, but it was, not my agenda. It was their agenda. And that brings my question is really the agenda. So I got that agenda from you, Brother Yates, and me and my secretary went through and we actually kind of read through the whole thing and adjusted it to try to make it ours, because I wanted to do something completely different than what we've been doing. And that's it, really. It was creating our own agenda that's similar but different. You know what I mean?
Right.
Make it your own.
And so the few main things that I think we need to do is set up the budget committee and talk about that, outside of lodge, but set that up in lodge, and then set up all the other committees. I think that's really the big thing I got to do, right?
That's your first thing, as well as do your Form 71 committee, because that's due right away.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
In fact, I hope your treasurer's already starting to get all the stuff together for it, so that, because you've also got your annual returns that are due as well for the lodge, which is really all the stuff is there because it cuts off 6/23, right? June 23rd. But then so June 24th and up, that's all new. So all of the stuff is there, all the data is already in Grandview. So they just have to print off the annual return button, or it creates a PDF, and then you print that off and you pay based off that. Is that correct, Jason? He's been a secretary many moons longer than I have. Sure.
No, you're completely wrong. No, that is correct. that is correct. August 15th, your annual returns are due, and that's just a PDF off of Grandview, and then September 15th is when your Form 71. But yeah, the year ends June 23rd. So hopefully your secretary and treasurer have kept up, the data throughout the year, so they're not having to go back and well, what did we spend this on? Well, you should already have that. And then that needs to get. Oh, the only thing that we have that's kind of we're spinning our wheel, because I have both the Form 71s for both of my lodges are done, with the exception of the endowment information, which comes with your endowment check. So that's kind of the only thing that we're kind of spinning the wheels on. But as soon as those come in, I mean, I've got my audit committee, Guadalupe Lodge has their audit committee, And as soon as those pieces of data come in, they can go out to the audit committees, and then they can finish their work. But yeah, but September 15th is when that Form 71, and it is supposed to be voted on by the lodge. So it should be done by the meeting in September, because you have to send it off September 15th, or else you're going to be doing probably a called meeting.
Yeah, it's supposed to be approved by the lodge.
Supposed to be approved. That's what I mean. Approved by the lodge. Yeah, approved by the lodge. Yeah.
Yeah, the committee actually does it and then says, okay, this is what we got, and then the lodge approves
Yeah, I think that's exactly what I said.
it.
Yeah. Also, August 15th, the Vanguard applications for last year are due to, I have to get it to my DDGM. So he'll have a month to have it turned in by September 15th.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If y'all are Vanguard, that's awesome. Congratulations.
It's huge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We will get it this year, I hope. I think. We got one more thing to do, and that's it.
Yeah. Neither of my
Nice.
lodges are even close, so I haven't even worried about the deadline for that.
Well, we're actually shooting for it at Goliad and Oso. So we're not this last year, but this current year. Well, last year at Goliad, we were working towards it and got very close, but not quite there. This year, it's Josh really wants to make sure it happens. So, and we can. We're not that far off to be able to do it. One other thing I was going to mention about, and a lot of lodges, so don't sweat it if you're secretary or treasurer for all the lodges out there that don't have big bank accounts. A lot of times before they send in those annual returns, they'll wait until the actual endowment check comes in so that they have those funds to put towards it. As they send that check, because it has to be a check sent to Grand Lodge to take care of that. So it's not just the form, you have to write a check. So a lot of lodges wait until they get that in. So nobody panic if that's what your secretary and treasurer says that they want to do, because a lot of lodges do that. I just wanted to throw that out there since we're talking about those things.
It's all new to me, so good to know.
Yeah, in Goliad and Oso, we could probably just go ahead and write the checks, but it wasn't always that way in Goliad. That's for sure. We've come a long ways.
I hope to do the same for my lodge. And it's nothing against the guy that's been doing it. He's just did the way it's always been done.
It wasn't me that did it. It was the lodge that decided that they wanted to turn themselves around. And Goliad, in fact, it was many brothers that made it happen, and it was kind of in stages. Different things took place along the way that has just made this lodge into the great lodge that it is today.
What are your
First,
degree
it
fees
started-
at Goliad? Out of curiosity.
They're fixing to go to $100 a month. I mean, $100 a year.
What are they now?
They
Less than 100?
They are $65 a year, and that went up back when I was master. I raised the dues, or I caused it to be done, but they've waited this much longer. So I mean, we're really behind.
Wait.
However,
so
we have so many endowments.
What are your dues in?
Right now, they're 65.
Okay. Well, I was asking about your degree fees.
Oh, I thought you said the dues.
Did I? I meant to ask your degree fees.
Yeah, you said the dues.
Okay. So your dues right now are 65. Going to go to 100. What are your degree fees in?
They're 100 apiece.
100 apiece. That's good.
All that was changed during my year, and it's going to change again this year.
Okay. 65 to 100. It's good.
Yeah, it needs to happen. But like I said, with our lodge, we have enough endowments of people that have passed that it's okay. We have that money coming in, so it's not as hard on us. And plus, our expenses are just so minimal. And we have a tenant in our building as well. So, I mean, it's there. We just have a lot of factors that go into us having success in our lodge.
That's good, man. Cool.
So why do you care? What are your degree fees?
90.
You're almost there.
No, yeah, well, no. I only think 100's almost there. But
oh, you know what's interesting? Go ahead. I'll let you finish.
The reason
is an interesting thought.
Because when I was falling into my role as treasurer, we had a conversation several years ago, like 10 plus years ago, and I thought we had voted to raise our degree fees. And I was like, these are not what we talked about. So I don't know what happened there. What were you gonna say?
All right, now are you treasurer of Hillsborough, or are you treasurer of the other one?
Grandview.
Grandview. Okay.
Grandview. Yep.
So I heard an interesting thought, and I'd like to hear what all of you think. A brother told me that at their lodge, and I'm not going to say where or what grand jurisdiction it is or anything like that, but they said that at their lodge, what they do is they say, okay, the degree fees are $300, and you pay that up front, and you get the degrees of Mason. And then if somebody doesn't finish, that's on them.
Yeah. I don't think it's any different than front loading your degree fees.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
I like that, Dennis, a lot.
Instead of 100,
makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, they do $300, and then if they do it, they do it. If they don't, they don't. And then also, if they don't do it in that year, if they come back 10 years later, they'll still say, okay, we'll finish them up. You know, they don't care about the time limit either, because they've already been paid, and so it is what it is.
Well, too many people kind of dip their toes and don't commit. Which, granted, yeah, exactly. I mean, you could probably fix that with processes we talked about, but I also agree. Like, you're already financially committed. Like, hey, it's $300 for your degree fees, and it's no refund unless something happens in the EA. And I think we all know what it is. If you drop the ball on your end, there's no refund. You don't get the money back. So you kind of financially obligated to go ahead and commit to it and finish.
Right. Yeah. So it's been successful that way, from what I've been told. But I thought that was a pretty good idea, actually. And if for me, I feel like, we've talked about raising the degree fees to, $500 a piece.
Mm-hmm.
You and I have talked about that because of the benefits of having that extra up front, especially. But then I would even be willing to drop it down to $750 total if I did it front loaded like that.
Yeah. Instead
of the $1,500. Go ahead, Jason. What you got?
Yeah. No, I think it. I mean, if one of the lodges that I belong to, if they wanted to do something like that, I think it would. Yeah. I mean, why not? I think it would be a pretty difficult thing to convince others in the lodge to do it. I think there would probably be a lot of resistance. But if you could get it front loaded like that, I mean, why not? The other thing that, because we're talking about potentially raising the degree fees at Victory Lodge, and your degree fees really, in my opinion, shouldn't be a part of your operating budget, because it's not revenue that you can really budget for, because it depends on how many come in and who advances and blah blah, all that kind of stuff. So my thought was, all the necessary stuff that you need for the degrees, should be covered by the degree fees already. All right, so that shouldn't be coming out of your operating budget, and we all know what stuff you need to buy specifically for each of the guys that come through. But it should just cover that. Like, you should cover more than that. And my thought was to actually keep that in a separate, you don't have to keep it in a separate bank account, but a separate fund that you track. And then as you need to replace regalia items, that it comes out of those degree fees. So if you need to replace, whatever. I don't want to talk too much about the actual ritual itself. But as those things wear out, stuff like that you've got this separate fund that you keep separate from your operating budget, and that's how you pay for those, items that you kind of have to replace over time and stuff like that, instead of it coming out of your
or just upgrade it.
What's that?
Or just upgrade it.
Or just upgrade it. You build your fund up large enough, like, well, now we can get a nicer set of whatever it happens to be, But yeah, front loading it all up all at once. I would be for it. Right now, I'm just fighting the battle just to get the degree fees raised. So,
well, the way that Justin and I had talked about it before, I think that we ought to do 500 apiece, and the first 500 goes towards you purchase an endowment for your lodge for one of your charter members, so it immediately starts paying those dividends. Even if the person doesn't go through to the fellowcraft degree, then that money still goes to the lodge perpetually. And then the second one goes to pay for the expenses of all the degrees, let's say. And then the third one would or the second one, actually, that was incorrect. The second one would actually go into a building fund to help support the building. And then the third one would go to pay for all the expenses of the degrees. And that would also include making sure that there's a meal at each one of the degrees. Because I think that there's too many lodges that shortchange the candidates by not giving that special feel to the event that it deserves. And I can't remember if I had a meal at every, I think I did. I think we had a meal at every one of my degrees when I went through. But, it's just not something I see very often at all with many lodges.
Well, it can be hit or miss. It could be a really nice meal, or it could be a chili dog.
Right. Well, sometimes, and most of the time, it's nothing at all.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think that that's really acceptable, in my opinion. And I really think that in those situations, it should be a meal afterwards, so that the candidate has an opportunity to visit with the brothers and talk about what they just went through.
I just saw a great comment in chat, and it's so simple. It's I think he mentioned earlier he was in Oregon, but he was asked for what he wanted for dinner for his degree. What a great idea!
Nice.
I mean, it's his degree. It should be something that he will will enjoy. Like, it's such a basic concept. Like, this is your degree night. It's a special night for you. What would you like for a meal? I like that a lot. Brother Haston also mentioned Article 307. The fees for initiation, passing, and raising should not be less than $30 for each degree. $25 for TMC for the Master Mason is in addition to that. So you still have to charge the minimum for all the degrees, but yeah.
Go ahead, brother Weber.
So, to go back to what Justin was saying, having the lodge offer to fix whatever the candidate wants. That, yeah, I agree, absolutely terrific idea. And then also to what you were saying as well about front loading those degree fees, not only does, as y'all said, the lodge get to enjoy that that little bump in income, but it really does incentivize the candidate to continue, especially if I'm going to lay out $750 and I am embarrassed to say what I paid for my degrees.
Mm-hmm.
But if I'm going to lay out $750, I am totally going to be working to make sure I get my bang for my buck.
My wife's going to make sure that I go there and do all my work. I can assure
Absolutely. And maybe that's part of what we need to do to encourage these gentlemen who come in that don't stick around, is make it more obvious to them that they should continue to come back.
But I like the idea also of definitely having a plan for each of those installations, like the degree fees. So you know exactly what the EA is going towards in the fellowcraft and the master. You know exactly what it's going towards. Yeah, I agree with what you're saying wholeheartedly.
What you got, Brother Dutton?
If I can find the mute button. I say, I love this idea too, right? The value proposition of here's more money, but here's what you're going to get. You explain to them, this is what's going to happen. This is how it's going to happen. How great would it be if you walk into a lodge as an EA and basically you paid for your endowment, right? Or you help pay for an endowment for somebody else, right? Like, hey, this is there for the longevity of this opportunity, right? Man, that's amazing. You come in, this is your degree fees and you're there. And then again, it goes to the commitment and the opportunity that you have there, as well as I'm so committed to Masonry, but also, man, your degrees better be spot on, word perfect. Like, there better be everything looking great. When we know what happens, when those things happen, they better be spot on, perfect, because you're getting charged a high level of premium. That's a premium experience for a premium price. And that's what it should be.
Yeah,
I agree.
Absolutely.
And I think that it should be anyways, but yes, even more especially when you're putting the pressure on yourself. If you're bold enough to ask for it, you better be bold enough to give the best experience possible.
Mm-hmm. Especially when the lodge down the road charges $90 for the same thing, right? If they charge the minimum 20 minutes down the road, what are they doing differently than what I'm doing? And it shouldn't just be the degree itself. It should be the meal. The building should be nice. The lodges should be clean. The regalia and everything should be updated and looking good. Also, I
can tell you there's lodges that charge a lot more than $90 also.
Yeah, yeah.
They charge more than what we're talking about and even in dues,
mm-hmm.
and a lot more. And yeah, it's a totally different experience. So
yeah. And when I get my degrees, I should be getting things.
Yes,
yeah.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
Yep. Later, Jason.
And their members probably aren't saying, "Oh man, that chili dog was great." They're probably going, "Wow, that was worth it. That was worth the effort. That was worth my time. I'm glad I went to this."
That creme brulee was delicious. That's what they're saying.
They're not eating chili dogs. We're talking green bean casseroles, like the whole 9 yards.
Oh my gosh!
All you can eat pancakes.
They're sipping on a scotch with their cheesecake.
There you
go. It's a different experience, I can tell you.
Nice. But you said something important, Dennis, in among many important things probably, but you should do dinner after the degree. This guy has so much going through his head. Do the degree a little earlier, and then after that, you're sitting down with him, you're talking to him, because really, ideally, you bring a guy into the lodge, he's in the prep room. He's not communicating. He's not listening to. He's preparing himself mentally. It's so you don't just like. So he's doing that. Do your degree. And then you bring him in, then you have the fraternal aspect. Afterwards, he can ask questions. you can't drink before lodge, but you can have some scotch or something after the meeting, right? So you can sit around, have some scotch, discuss everything that he went through, kind of lay out the expectations some more, really reinforce some of the things. You could do anything. There's all kinds of numbers of things you can do. And so this idea of eat and then rush to a degree and go home, it's his night. And you need to have a fully, especially if you're going to charge more, right? You're not just going to say, thanks for the money, here's your degree, bye, right? Thanks for the money, here's your degree, hope it's memorable, here's your mementos that you get, here's the meal that you asked for.
Yeah. Well, and another thought is, we've talked about doing it on a Saturday morning, especially the master's degree, because of the time factor. And we've talked about doing it on Saturday mornings in the past, and then you could go and have lunch afterwards. But I would even say, because you have so many children's sports going on Saturday mornings in certain times of the year, I would say do it a Saturday evening. Mm-hmm. If your lodge cannot do a Saturday evening once a month to bring in a new brother, then and there are not many lodges that are bringing in more brothers than 12 a year, right? There's not many that are bringing more than that in. So if you can't do one a month on a Saturday evening, to where you can start it at 5 o'clock because everybody's had all day to get ready for it, and then do the degree, and then at 8 o'clock hit the road to a nice restaurant or venue to be able to have those drinks and talk and have a upscale experience. If for nothing else, for that degree, the last degree, charge $100 for the other two, but charge $200 for the third one, and then do it upright. That's and that means that you pay for their dinner. You don't necessarily pay for everybody's dinner, but you pay for the candidate's dinner. Mm-hmm. And that way, and it really should be that way on any of the experiences with the candidate. So, or actually their brother at that point. So in any of the degrees, you would actually take care of their dinner for them. It's because they're the ones, it's their night. So just a thought.
So Brother Haston, another reason I just love having him a chat, right? He's just got all the facts. The most expensive in the state, and we're in Texas for anyone watching, the most expensive in the state is $1,000 per degrees, but they give great degrees.
Yes.
I bet their retention's probably pretty good.
Yes.
I'm not gonna pay $1,000 for a degrey.
I doubt you're gonna lose members when you're doing that.
Yeah.
And I'm almost jealous. I wish that I had done my degrees with them just to see what it was like.
Yeah.
Though my mother lodge, they're awesome. They did a great job. In fact, when I do the junior deacon's part in all the degrees, I do it exactly like the person did it that did it for me.
Dude, I couldn't tell you anything about my degrees anymore.
Or not the junior deacon, I mean the senior deacon. I do exactly how that brother took me through every one of them, and it was the same brother that did each one of them, and I do it exactly the same because it was such an impactful thing for me.
Yeah, Caesar Rubio, he says a Northern California Observant Lodge charges over $1,000. And then Trevor Wright says $450 dues in California went to $650. I wonder if their dues are set by their Grand Lodge or something, maybe. The way he's kind of saying it.
Why? If he's saying that it just went to $650?
$450 dues in California went to $650.
So it was $450, just went to $650.
Caesar says they're not. So okay, I'm just reading it wrong. Yeah. Huh.
Just reading into things. Just trying to cause drama. We see how you are.
Yeah, I guess. You know me. Good to see you again, Caesar. Good to have you on here, by the way. Glad you always show up.
Yes, absolutely. And that's awesome that we have somebody else from California on as well, right? Isn't that what you just said? Somebody else?
I don't know if he's from California, but maybe he has experience in California. But we got quite a few
Okay.
people from California and Washington, Oregon on here tonight. Seems like kind
Nice.
of West Coast represented.
Woohoo! That's awesome.
Yep.
Welcome. Thank you for joining us tonight.
Yep.
Yeah, I think that we've been behind on the 8 ball for quite some time in Texas Masonry, and we need to catch up.
See, it was like West Side, but no, we have this. There's an egalitarian kind of mentality in the fraternity, and I get where it comes from, right? Because everyone will immediately quote like that part of the EA. Like I get where it comes from, but it's kind of killing the fraternity also. I think I've kind of come to this conclusion that we had these nice buildings, and not just lodges, but like in the communities that we live in, because people came together and pulled their resources to things they believed in. And it was expensive, but if I put 5,000 or 5,000 and you put 5,000, you put 5,000, we have a pretty good lump sum of money we can put towards something, right? And we kind of shied away from that because we're so afraid of fixed income.
I don't think it's just that.
People. What else
I
do you
don't think
think
it's just that. And I don't want to make all of our membership, just drop to nothing with one phrase. But it was pre-Bible Belt. Simple fact, pre-Bible Belt. So back then, preachers actually had to have a job. That's why you saw most of your preachers would be teachers and stuff like that, because they had to have a job, because you weren't allowed to take money if you were a man of the cloth. So you weren't giving your first 10% to the church every week. You were putting it towards the things of value to you and your community, which would have been the lodge, and then building those first churches and building all the different buildings and establishing the communities. So I would say that one of the biggest things that occurred right out of the gate was once how do I put it? Once the infrastructure started, and once it was somewhat complete in its basic building, then the churches started going up, and then the money started going to the churches for the needy. And face it, it doesn't always go to the needy, right? A lot of times it's cherry picking of what the needy is. It's not just
sometimes you need pyrotechnics,
right,
in front of your big screen,
right, because that brings more money, right? Because that excites people. It makes people want to spend more money. They're wanting to pay for a show, whatever. But not to badmouth anybody's church or anything like that, but I really do believe that it was pre-Bible Belt and the establishment of all the churches that our strongest community sense of community occurred, because they all had to rely on each other as well. They weren't separate. Robert Parks spoke about dissension in the lodges and how we just naturally draw to our individual groups of people who believe the same things, right? It's just kind of natural progression for us to do that. And we have to break those barriers to actually make an attempt to bring it all back together. And we can do that through the precepts of Masonry. Mm-hmm. Well, when we started dividing up all the churches, making all these different churches, we started dividing up into different groups. And so we no longer had money for the community as a whole. We weren't doing this all. We weren't all in it together. We started doing it for ourselves in our own groups, if that makes sense. And not to say that churches are bad or whatever. I'm not saying that at all, because we got a lot of good churches doing a lot of good things, and a lot of good brothers that are members of those good churches. But I do believe that that's why a lot of our money has shifted. No, you're not cool enough.
I don't know why it doesn't work for me. I guess because there's a comment in chat, and oops, I don't want to do that. There's a comment in chat that I want to address because I think it's important.
Here, let me just high five myself.
Sorry. Says, I hope you all understand the beauty of Freemasonry isn't about money, but self-improvement. That's important to remember. And I agree with you to an extent, but you have to keep in mind, I'll just tell you, there are lodges in Texas that are over 150 years old, some older than that, like 200 probably, that have less than $10,000 in their bank account and have only liability insurance. And so
if they have
that. And so we do talk about money a lot because these organizations, it's important for an organization to see its 200th anniversary, its 300th anniversary, and so forth, that it is financially viable. And there are too many lodges that have ignored this aspect for reasons like me and Dennis have talked about, and probably several other reasons. And so, yeah, it is about self-improvement, but self-improvement also means giving to things better than yourself, building something better than yourself, planting trees that your children and your grandchildren could play in, even though you may never even see them sprout all the way. And so, yeah, I mean, that's part of self-improvement is giving to grander plans than what you can accomplish in your own life, building temples in yourself, but also physically around you. And so, yeah, I mean, if someone watches this and they're like, well, they're just talking about money, that's, well, I apologize to you, but yeah, I think you're missing the point if you feel like that's the only focus. We got lots of other videos that don't talk about money, but when you have so many lodges that are financially unviable, probably some even grand lodges that are struggling, and it's important that we look at these numbers and say, hey, we got to actually figure something out if future generations are going to enjoy the fraternity like we have.
Yeah, and I don't want to hurt too many people's feelings, but if we want to sit around and sing Kumbaya, look at what happened to those groups that went away in the 70s. They came in fast and they left fast because they didn't have monies. They sat on the sidewalks and sang Kumbaya. So, I believe that the external is a reflection of the internal. And if your internal is right, if you're right with your internal, then it's your responsibility to make sure that your buildings are in good shape like this, and prepared and ready for your boys to come in and your girls to come in and have their weddings in the temples that you so earnestly worked in and spent all your time trying to improve yourself in. So I unapologetically will fight for my lodge every day of the week and fight for the membership to pay their fair share, so it's not all left up to me to make sure that this building is still there when my kids and my grandkids and my great grandkids are around. I unapologetically will say that every day of the week.
On the note of buildings, looking at the picture behind you, is that what kind of ceiling is that? Just out of curiosity.
It's plaster.
If I don't know anything about this kind of thing, if you have a drop ceiling, is there a way to make it not crappy and have a nicer ceiling?
You can actually paint drop ceilings. I mean, I used, when in Goliad, we have a drop ceiling on our first floor. And
yeah, but then if it leaks or something, you get
well, you got to make sure that the roof doesn't leak.
Well, I agree.
That's part of the upkeep, buddy.
Yeah.
That's and if it leaks,
but you know how you find out it's leaking.
Fix it right away.
You know how you find out it's leaking? The towels start drooping.
We go up. As a matter of fact, I was talking to one of the brothers in our building committee for this building earlier today, and he's going up on the roof on Tuesday with a professional roofer to visually look at the roof and make sure that there's nothing that we need to do to make sure that it doesn't. We do that once a month.
Go on top.
Yes.
You'd only have to paint a couple tiles. Yeah.
Because you don't want to F up something like this. If you care about what you got, you're not going to let it fail. And that's what I say to any brother. If you care about what you're a part of, you're not going to let it fail. Simple as that.
I don't like drop ceilings. That's why I ask. I just didn't know if you could do something else. You can paint them, I know,
Yeah,
but
absolutely. Take out the drop ceiling. You can build a real ceiling in any building. You just got to do it. It costs money.
yeah.
Drop ceilings were fairly cheap for commercial buildings years ago, and so they would do that. But yeah, you can take that out. It's just a bunch of aluminum strips that hold those in. You just pull out all the tiles, and then you pull out all the aluminum strips, and there's little wires that are hanging from the actual ceiling, and cut all those out and build you something.
Aluminum?
Aluminium.
Aluminium?
Aluminium.
Yeah,
Aluminium?
the frame.
Yeah. Sometimes they're steel, sometimes they're aluminum. It just depends on, and it's not really a steel, it's an alloy. It's a lightweight.
We're not at that
Roy
point
City
yet, but
has the metal square tiles from 140 years ago.
cool.
The paint's coming off of it, so we're working on doing something about that. But they're pretty cool.
We have some of
Oh,
those
yeah.
at my York Lodge, where they had, I guess from the original building downtown, they have like a Blue Lodge Chapter Council and Commandery. It's like a steel metal, like it looked like it used to be a ceiling tile, and they just preserved them. However, I don't know how many there used to be or what, but we have them on our wall now.
Back then, they used to be 10.
10, maybe it's 10.
Yeah, it's 10.
No, there's only
Some
five. There's
designs on it.
only 4 of them. It's not 10.
Oh my gosh.
I see your hand there, Byron. What's up?
Yeah, I was just gonna say I was in Goliad years ago for a special event, and we wound up going to eat someplace right there on the square in Goliad that had that 10 tile ceiling in there.
Yeah.
Might be worth talking to those folks. I mean, I know that's not the lodge that Brad is in, or nowhere near the lodge that Brad is in or you're in, but get a hold of those folks and find out how they preserved them. Might be something that you can use, Brad.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's several lodges that have them. They're awesome. Yeah, we don't have the tins in Goliad, but yeah, you're right. That restaurant does have it. I can't remember. Now it's called no, I can't even remember. It's some Mexican food restaurant now.
In
I
Goliad?
can't. Yeah, one of the 3.
Mexican food in Goliad?
Who'd have thunk?
Dude,
Right.
when we went to San Antonio, we went to some hole in the wall. Like the place we wanted to go to, like the most top rated, was downtown where that parade was. You remember when we went to that conference? And there was that what was that? It was like a parade, like a Hispanic parade or something. But so we couldn't go to the restaurant we wanted to go to, but we went to some hole in the wall stuff. And I forgot how good the Mexican food in San Antonio is. It is on point, man. So good.
Yeah.
All right, guys, it's almost 11.
You get lucky every once in a while.
Okay, it's almost 11. Let's open up final thoughts. That way we can get out of here before midnight, before Dennis finishes, or after Dennis finishes it.
There you go.
So, Jeff, Brad, Byron, Daniel, anyone got something they want to add?
I don't know about add, but just reiterate. I love the idea of front loading the degree fees, and giving the candidate the opportunity to have fellowship following each of those degrees to discuss and learn more about them, because you and I both know, or y'all all know, when you're going through it, you're kind of I don't want to say in a cloud, but so much is going on that it's difficult to take it all in. And having the opportunity to sit down with the brothers after and discuss what happened. Okay, now I understand. There's a lot of aha moments that can come from there that are going to add to the experience that, frankly, I feel would help a lot with retention.
I agree.
Me too. Well said.
Brad?
I wanted to talk about, we talked about preparation in the beginning and preparation for big events, preparation for starting your year out as a worshipful master, preparation for painting your lodge or anything, preparation H.
I was waiting for it. I was waiting for it.
I saw Justin start grinning, and I knew it was coming. I was trying to keep it together. Why did you have to go there? Oh,
I'm so proud of you, Brad.
Why'd you have to give him the satisfaction? Dang it.
Yeah. But no, I mean, y'all talked about degree fees and everything. So I'm wanting to raise my degree fees and dues and everything all this year as well to kind of just catch up to because we're behind. But I've been preparing a presentation, a why, and I want to just give that out before I even talk about raising anything. I want to give it to every member of the lodge. I'm going to mail it with a letter to all the members of the lodge saying, hey, this is where we're at. Just wanted to let you know. Mm-hmm. Well, we're going to talk about it next meeting, so come on down. So, I don't know.
That's a good idea.
And I'm going to do something similar at my lodge, and the idea is you want most people to realize that something needs to be done before you suggest what needs to be done. In fact, ideally, someone else will think it's their idea, and they'll push it, right? Because then they'll be supportive of it. And so I agree. You kind of have to prime the pump when you're dealing with financial things. You really have to educate for a few months, and without even making a motion, just like, hey, this is where we're at. Just information. Here's where so I'm going to do like our actual budget, and then I'm going to do our endowments and how that's affecting us, and then I'll pick something else and talk about that, and then after, and I may wait towards later in the year. That way we're closer to where you can change your endowments and everything. But that's the smart way to do it, is to really let other people reach that conclusion before you present it, if possible, by just educating them.
Yeah. Well, here's a thought based off of that, Brad. Here's a thought. Maybe if you do that along with like that template that you requested, fill out all that stuff so that they know exactly how much everything costs for you that year, and then put on there, this is how much it costs to replace the air conditioner of this size building. This is how much it costs to replace the roof of this size building. This is how much it costs for foundation repair for this size building. Put some of your bigger expenses in there and say, now I'm asking you guys, how are we going to pay for this when it happens?
Not if it happens. When it happens.
How are we going to pay for it when it happens? And I am not open to asking the community for money. I would just put it like that. And let guys get creative. Say, get as creative as you can. But I'm not okay with asking the community to pay for our roof, air conditioner, or foundation, or anything of great expense that should be on us. And see what they come up with. Maybe they do come up with something great, or maybe they just come to the realization that they need to start having that hard talk.
Because even if you do scholarships and things like that, you're asking the community to put $30,000-$40,000 together for a new AC unit conservatively, so you can give out a couple $1,000s. No, it should be on you. I agree.
Right, and that's something that we talked about in our lodge, in Oso, is why are we giving out all these scholarships when we're taking money out of our investment returns to do it? If we can't allow our investments to continue to build on their own merit without pulling from it, then why are we doing the activities that require us to pull from it? Mm-hmm. We can support ourselves without if we don't do certain things. So why are we doing things above and beyond what we should do, just to prove that we're some big bad lodge that we need to get back to the basics on ourselves?
$1,000, $2,000 in scholarships, like we said, it's helpful, right? It's a laptop or a few books, but it's not the flex a lot of brothers think it's like this big flex. It's not. It's not a huge
talking
contribution.
About $8,000 scholarships, and so
y'all are doing $8,000 scholarships.
We shouldn't be doing that. 8,000 in scholarships.
Yeah,
and we shouldn't be doing that.
If you're having to do that, I agree.
Yeah, if we're pulling any amount from our investments, and it's not even the investments that we're pulling from the interest. But if we're pulling any amount from the interest of our investments, we shouldn't be doing it.
Yep.
In my opinion.
Let me get my final thoughts.
Yeah, please do, so I can get to mine.
I'll only take 10 or 15 minutes. I've
got to give a final thought on everybody else's.
I do want to say, first and foremost, thank everybody for taking time out of your Sunday evening. I realize it's time is valuable, right? And many of us are about to start the work week, or it might be just another day, but we have work tomorrow. And here we are at 11 o'clock at night talking on Zoom about Freemasonry. So I appreciate each and every one of you for being selfless in coming here. Most of y'all are, I think all of you actually are consistently here and giving feedback, sharing thoughts. And I enjoy this little community. And so I appreciate, and I learned as much from y'all as y'all learn from Dennis. So maybe that's not a good analogy, but I learned a lot from y'all. So.
You learn a lot more from them than they learn from me. Is that what you're saying?
But I get a lot out of this, and I take things back I take the things that we talk about and things that I learn back to my lodge, and I encourage all of you, whether it's here if you're in the channel live, or if you're watching this after the fact, or if you're in the Zoom, or if you're watching any of our content, if you find something that resonates with you, go take it to your lodge, and don't just say, hey, we should do this and this and this. Take what you learned, put a presentation together, and share it with your lodge and educate them. Or if nothing else, just share the video with these guys, because this is what it's all about. It's about the growth. And I've already said this once tonight, but you should never be the smartest person in the room. And this is my Masonic, well, it's the inner circle, right? But it's my Masonic inner circle, because these are the guys that I toss ideas at, and they come back with their thoughts and what they're doing. And it's not just these guys on the Zoom. Like we call that the Zach Haston, like 100 times tonight. Zach is
several
awesome.
Several of the brothers on our chat are part of that circle as well.
Yeah.
So
I appreciate all the moving pieces on this. But yeah, definitely, and it was pointed out, like, you do have minimal degree fees, so you can't just charge. I don't know how it works, right? If you say we're going to charge you $300 for the EA, but really what you're doing is spreading it out, I don't know how that would work. Legally, I don't know by Grand Lodge law how that would work, but I like the idea of front loading, even if you still have to charge the minimum degree fee after the fact. But the meal, the content of the degree, the regalia, and like I've said before, I'm also really huge on little physical things that they can walk away with, like the corn, wine, and oil, and the little things that you can put in shadow boxes and give out. So I'm huge on that. Books, things like that they can read. But I think if you're going to do something like that, it definitely has to be earmarked. So we're going to say, hey, the A degree, that money is going to go towards buying an endowment for our deceased member. This money is going to go into a degree fund for degree related things in meals and things like that. And this money is going to go towards whatever. And so I really think that's a smart idea. We need to get back into and even if you do 500, if you were able to find in your minutes, and I've done this before at other lodges, look at your older degree fees. Like, even if the dues weren't high, look at the degree fees. They weren't cheap, and $500 is still nothing. It's still a drop in the bucket compared to what we used to charge historically. So there's definitely value in that. But again, I definitely appreciate all you coming on tonight. Learn a lot from Brad. He's just so wise. He's like a little Yoda here. So Obi Brad Kenobi over here. So definitely appreciate all you guys. And with that, thank you again, and I'll close the.
No, you won't.
Okay. Go ahead, Dennis.
Well, I appreciate everybody as well, and I'm extremely stoked at the range that we have today, as opposed to when you and I first started, doing this together. The reach is just so much broader than it used to be. We used to get a few people coming on here and there, and now we consistently get people from all over the country, as well as around the world at times. At different times, it just depends on what's going on. But I'm just extremely humbled by all of you that, like Justin said, all of you that spend your time with us. I'm extremely humbled that y'all are willing to do that, and that you still find value after all this time and all the different shows that we put out. We've got so much content out there that it's really cool that we can still get together and just on the fly start talking about stuff and see where it all goes. And tonight, I think that even without trying, I think the underlying lesson in tonight's show was planning and execution. Because when you plan and you prepare, you do all the things that you need to do up front, then everything falls into place on the back end. And it makes things so much easier for not only the leadership, but it makes it easier for the membership as well. Because then everybody can just enjoy each other through all the events and not have to worry about this and that. Because if everybody knows their job, then they can do it and get it done, and then they can enjoy the rest of their time in that event. So like Brad said, he opened up and they were taking care of some stuff, while Brad was doing the presentations and the gifts and stuff like that. They were working in the background getting this other stuff done, and then by the time that was done, it was all just enjoying the moment of the leveling of the cornerstones, and which is just phenomenal that you're able to pull off an event like that. First thing before you even have your first stated meeting, you're able to pull off an event like that with success. And that doesn't just speak to you, though; it speaks to your lodge as well for making it happen, supporting you the way that they should be supporting you. And kudos to the lodge, kudos to all of you. I think you're doing a great job already, and I'm excited to come up there in September. That being said, I'm grateful for all the brothers that come on, like Zach and Cody and all of our inner circle that shows up here. If y'all want to be on the screen with us, all you got to do is not just subscribe, but become a Patreon or whatever they call it. We have different levels of membership, so the lowest gets you on the screen, and then we also have content available to those members that not everybody has availability to. So you have extra stuff that you can see. We try to create as much value as we can for our membership, because we do believe that we got to practice what we preach. We teach what we preach, and vice versa. So with that being said, I'm grateful for everyone that has come out tonight, that comes out every night. and shows us the love. And I love you right back. I really do. I appreciate every one of you. And otherwise, all you brothers, thank you for joining us, and keep it between the points.
Wow, that was concise.